Shattered legs may heal in time, but some betrayals fester and poison the soul. On my sister's wedding, you pulled it, and now I got a dead man in my kitchen.
14-year-old Lucas is already buried in gang life, growing up in the underbelly of Washington, D.C., where Mara Salvatrucha, MS-13, controls the streets. He once dreamed of becoming the next Derek Jeter or Cabrera, but in his neighborhood, baseball always comes second to drugs. Blue colors dominate the blocks, ink marks the skin, and the rules are understood without being explained. Control, kill. That's the motto. 10,000 gang members spread across more than 40,000 states, thriving in silence where no one talks. Within the clique, the structure is rigid and absolute. The drug boys report to the collectors answer to the soldiers, and the soldiers answer to Jester, who, despite being one dumbass homie, holds the title of Segunda Palabra, second word. Everyone has to go through him to reach the boss. Everyone except Lucas. That exception eats at him, and he hates Lucas because of it. At the top of that food chain sits Rinkan, the most feared badass in DC. He became prima palabra at just 19, first word of the clique, by wiping out rival crews, dealers, and anyone who even thought about flipping or ratting. When Rinkan starts delivering his Shakespeare, everyone knows it means someone is about to die. After the speech, he picks up a machete and cuts the man open himself. Then the rest of the gang pile on, stabbing the body again and again while the life drains out of it. When it's over, they throw up the devil horns, the ritual sealing what just happened. Lucas watches the steady stream of junkies who drift in looking for a fix. Smack, meth, Scoobies, Pac-Man, but one of them stands out. Daniel is different, and Lucas has never quite understood what brings him there. He returns a book he once lent him, calling it a good read, then quickly admits he never actually read it because he doesn't have time. Daniel stares at him, then stuffs the book back into Lucas's bag. Daniel is mute and communicates through a talk-to-text app on his phone, telling Lucas that a boy his age should be in school, not running with the clique. Lucas sells him his fix anyway and moves on. Almost immediately after, Kai Sainat shows up and asks Daniel for a hit of his own.
Fucking doctors, man. Say I lost my benefits. Say I was drug-seeking. Man, gee. God bless you, brother. God bless you.
Later, Lucas runs into a group of meatheads on the street who hype him up, calling him next in line to be king and showing off their rap skills. Lucas gives them his approval, until another guy, Rodrigo, barges into the scene. Rodrigo claims he's gangsta and says he's waiting on his initiation, offering to help Lucas with his collects and bragging that he isn't afraid to even drop cops.
No psych, Lucas. I'm gangsta. Ready for my initiation. Give me a cop. Bam!
The others respond by snatching his cap and clowning him, pushing the moment until Rodrigo pulls out a gun, sending them scrambling as he screams into the street that he's gangsta. Elsewhere, Rincon works out in silence before noticing a car parked outside his place, the kind of presence that suggests the feds are watching. Inside, he asks his sister Gabriela if she's ready for tonight. She says she is, though she wishes their parents could be there. Rincon tells her their mother would have been proud of who she's become. Across town, Lucas rolls up to a small store to collect the tax owed to Rincon. The owner, Carlos, spots him and immediately apologizes, explaining that his wife is on chemo and he can't pay this week, but promises to make it right next time. He then hands Lucas some fruit for him and his brother. Lucas decides to cover for him, warning that this has to be the last time, then rides off. Back at Rincon's place, a priest pays him a visit and urges him to hold his sister's wedding ceremony in a church instead of here. He shows Rincon his tattoo, saying they come from the same place, reminding him he's known him since he was a boy and understands how deeply he loves his sister.
I know what you've been through. We come from the same place. I know how much you love your sister. She should start a new life in the house of God.
Rincon listens but refuses, saying he respects the priest, yet no one gets to tell him what to do with his sister. On the road again, Lucas heads to an abandoned spot to meet the new drug boys, only to find his younger brother Miguel waiting there instead. He demands to know why Miguel isn't in school, and Miguel tells him this is his first day as a drug boy, that he's supposed to hand over the staff.
Really? You're meeting me? I'm the new drug boy, man. I got the benches. You're supposed to give the staff for me.
Lucas snaps at him to go back to school, but Miguel insists he wants to work for Rincon, to be a runner just like his brother. Lucas loses it, grabs him, and drags him back towards school as Miguel protests the entire way. Elsewhere, the tweaking junkie turns up again with Daniel, asking for a 5 or a 10 and claiming he's clean now, that he's only buying food. He then launches into a rant about being on Liver King's ancestral diet, consuming meat like a caveman.
More! More! Yeah!
Next, he spirals into a tweak about vegetables having feelings.
Vegetables, man. They also got feelings. Heard this on NPR. Said they done studies on this shit. Like if you eat a cabbage, that cabbage, it knows you're eating it. And it feels pain. It got feelings too. So what are vegetarians gonna eat now, huh? Rocks?
Eating animals is wrong, McDonald's. Hurting animals is wrong, McDonald's. Share this song and change your entire menu to be vegan from now on.
When it burns out, he just stares at Daniel until Daniel finally hands him some cash. At the local school, Lucas pulls Miguel into a classroom and forces him into a seat. But Miguel is still set on getting initiated into the gang. Lucas scolds him, saying he only wants what's best for him, and tells him he'll be back to pick him up at 3. As he leaves, he orders the teacher not to let Miguel go anywhere. Outside, Daniel is stopped by a girl named Anna and her young daughter. She lightly needles him about the cigarette in his hand after he told her he'd quit, then asks whether there aren't any ratty body shops where he comes from. She says she likes having him around, but notes that it's usually Latinos going into white neighborhoods looking for work, not the other way around. Daniel shrugs it off, saying maybe he just likes the people here.
I'm just asking, because normally it's the Latinos looking for jobs in the white neighborhoods.
I guess I just like the people here.
As they walk, Anna tells him she's taking her daughter somewhere after school and suggests they meet later by the creek. After they part, Daniel heads to buy eggs nearby, but the moment they hit the pan, he freezes, pulled back into memories of the war. The store owner snaps him out of it by yelling the price, and as Daniel fumbles for the money, a group of gangsters crowd him, rushing him along and calling him a junkie.
You wanna fuck me or something?
Oh, he giving you a bitch stamp.
Don't talk much, do you, Chavala? Wanna get boiled deep or what?
Rodrigo joins in, mocking him as Chavala, and adding to the taunts until they dump a can of soda on him, trying to provoke a fight. Daniel spots Anna across the street and ignores them, refusing to take the bait. Back at Rincon's place, the house is alive with wedding preparations when the groom, Thomas, arrives. He greets Rincon, introduces his family, and they head inside to talk. Rincon asks how his life is shaping up, and the groom explains he's working toward an associate degree in construction management. His father adds that the groom's brother already has a job and a room waiting for him in Orlando. Rincon congratulates him, then reflects on how Gabriela hasn't been outside Florida in years. Elsewhere, Daniel's PTSD resurfaces when a group of thugs ambush him at gunpoint, trying to steal his pills. He fights them off, deflecting their attacks and driving them away. But once they're gone, he drops to the ground, scrambling to gather the pills scattered around him before collapsing in helpless agony. Lucas eventually rides up to Rincon's, greeting the gang outside before heading in and taking in the wedding preparations. He spots Gabriela, and when she asks how her new hair looks, he compares her to Jessica Alba. Lucas moves into the study, interrupting Rincon's meeting with Tomas, and Rincon sends Tomas away so they can talk privately. Lucas hands over the money from the day's collections, and Rincon surprises him with a suit for the wedding. Lucas admits he's never worn one before, and Rincon tells him he'll be sitting up front with the family. Lucas then confides his worries about Miguel getting pulled into the gang, saying he wants his brother to have a better life somewhere far from here. The moment is cut short when Jester barges in, dragging a man into the room. The man begs for more time, insisting he's still their boy, but Rincon slaps and beats him before ordering Jester to deal with it, reminding him he's trying to talk business with Lucas. Before they leave, Jester shoots Lucas a look filled with resentment. Afterward, Rincon notices the fruit Carlos gave Lucas, and Lucas tries to explain, mentioning the old man's sick wife. Rincon dismisses it, saying Lucas has too much of his older brother in him. Smart, but soft. Outside, the man's screams carry through the house, prompting Rincon to shout at Jester to keep it down so his sister won't be upset on her wedding day. He tells Lucas that when he was young, he felt the same sympathy, arriving here even younger than Lucas after his father and brother were killed in El Salvador, and his mother was assaulted and murdered by coyotes. He rails against the MAGAs moving in to take over his barrio, then tells Lucas he has to be ready to do what his enemies won't. He wasn't always the biggest dealer in DC, he says, but he was the one who killed the rest. Afterward, Rinkan says he'll send one of his other boys to Carlos's shop, but Lucas pushes back, arguing that once Carlos is gone, no one is going to keep that place running. An empty storefront means no payments at all, while waiting 2 more weeks keeps the money flowing.
No one's gonna take over that crapple once he's gone, and then the payments will stop coming in.
That's when Rincon admits that this kind of thinking is exactly why he trusts Lucas more than the rest of those clowns. Rinkan then lays out Lucas's next job, handing him 2 bricks and telling him to deliver them to a gas station across the train tracks, where someone will be waiting. Before Lucas leaves, Rinkan stresses that this isn't a normal drop. Straight there and straight back, no detours.
This ain't an ordinary drop-off. I'm counting on you. Get to the gas station, make the drop. We'll come right back.
As Lucas heads out, he passes Jester lingering behind the door, watching him with the same simmering resentment before disappearing inside. Elsewhere, Daniel is still taking pills to keep his panic at bay, struggling to steady his breathing when Gabriella comes in and hands him a shirt. When she asks why he needs the pills, he says the doctors changed his prescription again. She notices the bird tattoo on his back and asks about it, but he doesn't answer. As she helps him get dressed, they share a quiet moment, broken when the shop manager calls Daniel back to work. Meanwhile, Rincon tells Jester to keep an eye on Lucas during the drop with their contact from El Salvador. When Jester asks why Lucas is being sent, Rincon explains that the feds are watching too closely, and he doesn't want any problems on his sister's wedding day, especially after promising her there would be no deals happening today.
Am I sending the kid? I could make the deal. You stupid or something? I just told you the feds are on my ass. It's gotta be the kid. Go, please.
Before Jester leaves, Rinkan adds one more thing. Jester is to leave Lucas's kid brother alone. On the way to the drop, Lucas runs into Rodrigo, who brings up Miguel's jump-in already about to begin. Lucas rushes over trying to pull his brother out, but the others block him, saying they're just following Jester's orders. They tell Miguel not to be scared, not to cry, brushing off Lucas's protests by saying that just because Lucas's own initiation left him with broken bones doesn't mean the same will happen to Miguel.
Don't let him scare you. Just cause his jump-in left him with a couple broken bones, it don't mean the same gonna happen to you. Leave him alone, he's just a kid, man!
As Lucas shouts that Miguel is just a kid, the signal is given, and the beating starts. For 13 seconds, they descend on Miguel without mercy, while Lucas yells helplessly from the edge. When it's over, they welcome Miguel into MS-13. But before they can send him to his corner, Lucas claims Rincon wants Miguel with him on the drop across the tracks. Not wanting to interrupt the wedding to check, they let Lucas take him, and Miguel grabs the dog as they leave. Elsewhere, after Daniel and his boss finish working on a car, the boss tells him to take it out for a test drive. Anna tries to come along, but her father stops her. On the road, Daniel passes police covering a body on the walkway, and he recognizes the dead man as the homeless junkie from earlier. At the same time, Rincon slips into his suit for the ceremony and compliments Gabriella when he sees her in her wedding dress. Daniel later spots Lucas and Miguel on the road and asks Lucas for pills, but Lucas shuts him down and rides past. Miguel points out that the train tracks are in the opposite direction, and Lucas tells him they're not going there, they're going home. When they arrive, Miguel waits downstairs while Lucas goes up, pulling a gun from its place and grabbing a letter addressed to Miguel, informing him he's been accepted into the youth baseball camp. Back outside, Lucas tells Miguel to leave the dog and come with him, but Miguel resists, saying he doesn't want to abandon their older brother's dog and that he plans to start as a drug boy and work his way up, just like Lucas did. Lucas shows him the letter, then pulls him into a tight hug before saying they're leaving. As they head out, Lucas suddenly notices that one of the bricks Rincon gave Lucas is missing from the bag, and as he panics, Jester calls out, demanding to know why Lucas isn't at the drop by the tracks. Lucas tells him the deal isn't actually happening there, that Rincon doesn't trust Jester enough to share the real location.
Just cause he's your cousin, you think he trusts you? With your Ricky Martin clothes and Joe and shit, like you're his right-hand man? Oh, I'm Jester. You gotta listen to me. You're not on top. You never will be. I'm the right-hand man, and you know it. Only me and Rincon know where the deal's going down.
Jester then bursts into manic laughter and grabs Lucas, insisting they go ask Rincon themselves. Back at the house, Rincon watches the Fed car still parked outside, unable to settle into the ceremony until Gabriella calls him over to join the family for photos. On the way back, Lucas tries to talk Jester out of returning to Rincon's, warning him that interrupting the wedding will only make things worse. But Jester doesn't buy it. When Lucas presses further, invoking someone Rincon killed the year before, Jester silences him by smashing the gun into his face, then swings the weapon toward Miguel, threatening to shoot him and the dog and taunting Lucas with how little power he has.
Look at his face, man. Fucking bitch, huh? That's a smile now. Ooh, you gonna go, man? Don't go with me, brother. Don't. Come on, you fucking midget.
As they move on, Miguel catches sight of old man Carlos and gives him a subtle signal. Carlos understands immediately, cutting his car sharply across the road and blocking their path. While Jester and the others scream at him to move, the brothers vault the car and run. cutting through backyards and fences as gunfire cracks behind them. They soon stumble onto Daniel, who's struggling to restart a car, and pile in just as bullets tear into the glass. The engine finally turns over, and the trio tear off into the street, but they don't get far. A motorcycle soon pulls in front of them and opens fire, killing the dog and forcing Daniel to reverse hard onto another street. The pursuit continues until the attackers ram the car, sending it spinning into a wall. The impact was so tough, it dragged Daniel back into Afghanistan, mowing down Taliban alongside his unit, before Miguel's screams pull him back to the present. Daniel gets Miguel out, leaving the dog behind, and ducks into a nearby store where he treats Miguel's shattered leg. When Lucas asks how he knows what to do, Daniel says he was in the military, and Lucas explains their older brother was a Marine who enlisted as a green card soldier, hoping to give the family a better life, only to be killed before earning citizenship.
He used to send us pictures of him shooting these guns, and remember? It was awesome, and he hated the food from there, and the weather. He wasn't used to it.
When Daniel asks if it's just the two of them now, Lucas tells him their father left soon after their brother enlisted, and it's just the two of them now. At the ceremony, Rincon shares quiet looks of pride with his sister, until Jester storms in, exactly what he wanted to avoid. Elsewhere, Daniel notices the youth baseball camp letter and asks about it, and Lucas says it's for Miguel before they move on. Back at Rincon's, Jester unloads everything, accusing Lucas of running off with the Chavala and the bricks, insisting he always knew the kid would betray him. Rincon cuts him off, furious that Jester couldn't handle the simple task of watching Lucas, then orders him to gather every man they have and bring back both the bricks and Lucas alive. Not long after, Lucas realizes the second brick is gone, likely lost in the crash. As he and Miguel prepare to leave, Daniel offers to drive them, agreeing to stay with Miguel while Lucas goes back to retrieve the drugs. However, when Lucas reaches the car, he finds it engulfed in flames, the missing brick burning with it. Only now it's clear it wasn't drugs at all, but cash. Soon after, Spider, the man Lucas was meant to meet at the tracks, shows up at the ceremony. Rincon warns him he shouldn't be there with the feds parked outside, but Spider says he spotted them early and avoided suspicion, adding that back in El Salvador, people are already saying Rincon will soon control the entire East Coast.
Back in El Salvador, they say all hot shit. That Rincon, he's a badass. One day gonna run the entire East Coast. A real badass.
Rincon promises the money, while Spider reminds him the captain is expecting payment, and he can't return without the $250,000. Rincon insists they have to move carefully. The feds just dismantled an entire city, and if they trace the money back to him, his whole crew is finished. With a family to feed, he says it had to look like a drug deal. Elsewhere, Lucas returns to Daniel and Miguel and explains what he saw in the fire. When Miguel asks why the brick was full of cash and not drugs, Lucas remembers the other brick back at the apartment and decides to retrieve it. Daniel urges him to run while they still can, but Lucas slaps the phone out of his hand, convinced kids like them are boxed into only two futures, gangs or the army. And even if Miguel makes it to baseball camp, they'll still need money to survive.
I sell drugs to you, man. Why would I listen to you? Leave us alone. Let's go.
The brothers head for the apartment, leaving Daniel behind to gather the broken pieces of his phone. Across town, Anna waits at the body shop until nightfall, but Daniel never returns, and her father reminds her she can't trust him as he sends her inside. Later, Lucas and Miguel melt into a crowd gathered around a puppet show, watching as gang members move through the area on high alert. When the moment feels right, they slip away to a basement window and knock, making their way inside and upstairs where they run into Rodrigo, who wastes no time telling Lucas that Rincon has the entire clique hunting him. Lucas asks Rodrigo to keep watch, and Rodrigo eagerly agrees, swearing he's always got Lucas's back. The brothers rush to their apartment, where Lucas finds the missing brick hidden behind the bed, grabs their older brother's photo, and heads back out with Miguel. Outside, Rodrigo assures them the coast is clear and leads them toward the back, straight into an ambush. Jester and his men step out, Rodrigo's loyalty exposed as a lie. Jester takes the brick, and when he demands the other one, Lucas explains that it burned in the fire, that it's gone for good. At the same time, the wedding ceremony begins, and Rincon walks his sister down the aisle, placing her hand into the groom's as everything else closes in. At the body shop, Daniel returns to find the place torn apart, Anna cradling her bloodied father on the floor. She tells Daniel to stay away, blaming him for what happened, but he helps anyway, tending to the old man's wounds as she explains that the gang came looking for him, accusing him and the kids of stealing Rincon's stash. When she presses him, Daniel insists he didn't steal anything. He then asks about the boys, and Anna tells him they were taken away together in a car. The old man warns Daniel not to get involved, but the broken veteran is already moving. At the same time, Lucas and Miguel are brought back to Rincon's house. As Daniel prepares to leave, Anna bursts into his room and tries to stop him. She asks why he won't just walk away or call the cops. When he doesn't answer, she tells him about her ex, pointing to the 3-dot tattoo he carried, the same mark worn by the Maras. 3 dots, meaning there are only 3 places a life like that ends: the hospital, prison, or the grave. She tells Daniel he's no different, that soldiers and gang members are just stupid boys playing stupid games. Daniel listens without responding, then makes his decision. After a long pause, he walks out, leaving Anna behind in tears. At the wedding, the priest pronounces the couple husband and wife, and the celebration swells as Rincon dances with his sister. Elsewhere in the house, Jester toys with Lucas, savoring what he believes is coming for him and Miguel once Rincon arrives, openly hoping he'll be allowed to gut them himself as the brothers sit trapped and silent. A girl delivers food from the reception, but when she asks if the boys want any, Jester dismisses her and tells her to fetch beer instead. In the kitchen, she's suddenly grabbed by a drunk spider, who ignores her resistance and moves in on her, until Rincon storms in and knocks him down, dragging him away and beating him without restraint. Outside, Daniel reaches the residence and is intercepted by 2 thugs, the same men who mocked him earlier at the egg shop. He pulls a knife, but they close in, overpowering him and knocking him to the ground as they taunt him. Scrambling, Daniel gets hold of the blade and slashes one of them, then stabs him repeatedly until he's dead. As the other locks him in a chokehold, Daniel manages to turn the tables, taking him hostage and forcing his way toward the main compound. Inside, Rincon finishes dealing with Spider and heads to the study, ordering his men to clean up the kitchen. He sits across from Lucas and Miguel and begins his familiar Shakespeare, the cadence alone enough to make Lucas tremble, while Jester watches with barely concealed excitement.
Shattered legs, a healing time, but some betrayals fester and poison the soul. I'm a fucking dead man. On my sister's wedding, you pulled this shit, and now I got a dead man in my kitchen.
Outside, Daniel reaches the compound with the hostage in front of him. When he spots the FBI agents parked nearby, he moves straight toward the gang, triggering the agents to move in as well. Guns come up on all sides, 3 forces locked in place, shouting for weapons to be dropped. Fireworks burst overhead from the wedding celebration, and the standoff instantly collapses into gunfire, drawing everyone inside into the chaos as Daniel slips away toward the house in search of the boys. As police flood the area, Rincon and his men join the firefight from inside. In the chaos, Gabriela is hit, collapsing into her husband's arms as she dies. Daniel reaches the study, but takes a bullet to the leg, spotting the remaining brick on the table and grabbing it as he pushes toward Lucas and Miguel. A smoke bomb soon fills the room, and under its cover they escape upstairs, slipping out through a window and disappearing into the night just as ambulances and reinforcements arrive. Rincon emerges to find his sister dead and breaks down in the open, grief overwhelming him. Near the train tracks, Daniel collapses, and as Lucas tries to help him up, Jester appears, firing his gun into the air and declaring there's nowhere left to run, that Lucas is only alive because Rincon is going to kill him himself. Rincon arrives moments later. When he asks Lucas why he did it, Lucas says he already knows, gesturing towards Miguel. Rincon tells him through tears that he treated him like a son, that Gabriela is dead because of him, and raises his gun, first at Lucas, then at Miguel, until Lucas shields his brother. After a long pause, Rinkan lowers the weapon and tells them to leave and never come back. That's when Jester loses it, accusing Rinkan of weakness, saying his softness caused everything, calling him his little cousin, and admitting all he ever wanted was to be next in line. Then he shoots Rincon right in the head. As he turns the gun on Lucas, Daniel forces himself upright and exchanges the brick for the boy's safety. That's when he's flooded again by memories from the war, shooting a child by mistake, watching the boy's mother collapse in grief, the explosion that followed, tearing through his body and destroying his voice. When Daniel comes back to himself, Jester is standing over him, demanding the cash. Before he can fire, a shot hits him in the chest. Daniel looks up to see Rodrigo holding the gun. Soon after, Lucas and Miguel ride a train out of the city. Miguel discovers the bundle of cash tucked into his jacket and Lucas stows it away, telling him they finally made it out. As the train pulls away from Washington, D.C., Lucas stares out the window, watching the city disappear behind them, still standing, still hungry, and already replacing them.